Mindfulness, being more mindfully present and aware of where we are and what we are doing, paying attention to what is going on within me and around me, has allowed me to notice the responses that I exhibit when faced with adversity. It does not provide me with the enlightenment of having all the answers, but it gives me the space to notice my emotions and that a certain response is required for a more productive outcome than when I'm not able to embrace this space. My name is Michael Shikatano, and this is Right Here, Right Now, a podcast to inspire the learner inside each of us. In a world that is full of so much information, we will help find and package that information so that you can use it in your lives every day in practical ways. And in each episode, we will remind you of the importance of being present and mindful of your daily thoughts, actions, and interactions. It is truly the most vital step to learning and growth, being mindful and present right here, right now, to take on life's challenges and turn them into life's lessons. So come on this venture with us, a new beginning, a new journey that starts right here, right now. Welcome back, people. I am Michael Shikatano, your host of Right Here, Right Now, the fresh new podcast where we help teach you through various forms of insight and inspiration from many sources of amazing instruction. That being present and practicing mindfulness is the finest way to find our path to learning. Through the noticing and attention and awareness of the challenges we face and the tactics we employ to overcome our challenges, we are building our resilience. Right here, right now. I want to let you in on a little secret. Over the past 2 or 3 years, a few concepts and ideas and insights have crossed my path. I've shared some of them with you, and one more profoundly shaped my growth and learning. Through this mindfulness practice, I have come to be fascinated with some of the ways we can be better at handling the challenges we know we all will face. We must be challenged to an extent that pushes our limits to be able to grow, to become more resilient, and to develop a strength that we never had or thought we had before we needed to wield this power or even thought it was possible. This type of perseverance does not come naturally to most of us. Right? Perhaps because it is hidden beneath some shell that we have formed to protect ourselves. Today, right here, right now, we will take a practical approach to see the connection between pain, strife, struggle, suffering even, and how we can be mindful of our response to the struggle, how we approach the obstacles to build a resilient and more consistently reliable ability to endure, thrive even, not necessarily to push through, but rather more suitably to carry ourselves forward with the strength we possess within, waiting for the right moment to be unfurled, waiting for the timely lessons to be learned, waiting for the right connections to be made, to build a practice of mindfulness to strengthen our resilient minds and hearts. I want to start off with a quote, again, some words to catapult us on today's journey. And these words come from Dee Hock, founder of Visa. And he writes in his beautiful book, Autobiography of a Restless Mind, if you never test your courage and strength, how can you measure the validity of your fears? I'll read that again for you. If you never test your courage and strength, how can you measure the validity of your fears. So let's begin with some talk about strength. Since we started off with that, maybe let's talk about a pretty common piece of information that may help us see some parallel in building strength here. Let's talk about physical strength training. In order to build our muscles, we must challenge them sufficiently in order for them to grow and get stronger. Now, if you're paying attention, you may feel like you have an idea of where I might be going with this. Continue to pay attention here, people, right here, right now. The concept is actually called muscle hypertrophy, and it requires stimulation of muscle followed by repair. Muscle hypertrophy occurs when the fibers of the muscles sustain damage or injury. You heard correctly. Building muscle happens when the muscle sustains damage or injury on a microscopic level here. The only way to have this happen is to provide enough resistance so the muscle is challenged enough that it will undergo some level of damage that initiates this cascade of repair. The body repairs damaged fibers by fusing them, which increases the mass and size of the muscles. And the link to improve strength here is found in the fact that a larger muscle is one that is a stronger muscle. In theory, a muscle that can lift or carry a greater load. Certain hormones, including testosterone, human growth hormone, and insulin growth factor, also play a role in muscle growth and repair. And the fun part about this process and the beauty is that strength training, resistance training here, increases the production and the body's sensitivity to those important hormones, right? What a wonderful and magical cycle of growth in the wonderful machinery of the human body. And it makes you just want to get out there and pump some iron, huh? So what does this have to do with resilience or giving our minds the ability to work through and come through our challenges better, stronger, more able to adapt and respond to the impediments and the obstacles that will continue to come our way? Well, if we went through life trying to avoid obstacles rather than meeting them as they come up, or run from the setbacks that may cause some strife, rather than working at a solution or a resolution, we're essentially allowing our minds to be free from the resistance it requires to get stronger, to be more able to ward off the negative responses to our challenges. A life lived through avoidance of the pain and struggle and suffering even is like going to the gym and just going through the motions. And maybe you're lifting just a few pounds and barely breaking a sweat, certainly not challenging our muscle fibers enough to require the repair needed for growth. If we avoid those challenges, or worse, pretend we have tackled them through some form of avoidance, we will not sustain the pain or damage or injury required for growth and learning, the very things that will make us more resilient, better able to adapt, heal, grow, learn, and persevere. So just like there are many, many different ways to perform strength training, physical strength training, there are countless ways to challenge our minds that focus on how we are able to respond to the obstacles, the challenges, the pain, the suffering, so that we can better approach the work at hand, this newest obstacle that we must overcome. First and foremost, we must be paying attention. Give the pain or the suffering that comes from our obstacle the attention it deserves. And this, of course, happens through being mindfully present, aware of our emotions and the potential cause of our emotional strife. This, coupled with a deep sense of curiosity, it's allowed me to be more open to a different way of responding, a different way of showing up, a different way of communicating, a different way of noticing, a different way of experiencing life, a different way of connecting to myself and to others. And I'd like to share with each of you that one of the most effective practices that can help with being more mindfully present and aware is the practice of mindful meditation. Mindfulness, being more mindfully present and aware of where we are and what we are doing, paying attention to what is going on within me and around me, has allowed me to notice the responses that I exhibit when faced with adversity. It does not provide me with the enlightenment of having all the answers, but it gives me the space to notice my emotions and that a certain response is required for a more productive outcome than when I'm not able to embrace this space. A really nice description of this is from the website Mindful, and it's all about mindfulness. And they write, whenever you bring your awareness to what you're directly experiencing via your senses or to your state of mind via your thoughts and emotions, you're being mindful. And at the risk of sounding too deep or maybe too out there, I will offer to you the best way I can describe the immensely positive effect that the practice of mindful meditation has had for me. Everything feels a bit more slow. The mind is maybe a bit more ponderous, stemming from all that beautifully built up curiosity. All of the responses and reactions to life's perturbations seem vastly more deliberate, calculated even. It has extended the time that I jump from stimulus to response, extended it from a millisecond to a few seconds, which does not sound like very much or quite that profound a shift, but it is this additional space that allows for the most reliable and authentic and potentially effective and perhaps least primal approach to all of life's events, the good and the not so good here. Yes, even the pleasure we wish to enjoy, our reactions to the good in life, when slowed down, are made vastly more meaningful, noticeable, enjoyable. And I would prescribe that the most effective routine to follow to build our muscle of resilience is what I would call a mental deadlift here, combining mindfulness meditation with a childlike curiosity in life. Mindfulness allows us to better notice, and the curiosity allows us to better understand what we are experiencing. Connecting the awareness with the impact of our awareness is a wonderful state to be in, for a cycle to be formed so that we can employ this newly discovered and cultivated strength in all of our moments in life. And there's growing research showing that when you train your brain to be mindful, you're actually remodeling the physical structure of your brain. And I loved coming across this information because it shows that this exercise, this practice, this training of our minds is working to make us better equipped to meet the resistance, overcome that obstacle, face the challenges of our lives. This is where we begin to make these practices more habitual, like the cycle of the hormones that improve the body's ability to gain physical strength. We invite these more productive responses when we are more mindful. And these concepts, the awareness through mindfulness and the resilience we can build and work to grow stronger, certainly points to one of my favorite quotes coming from Viktor Frankl, author of Man's Search for Meaning. He's a Holocaust survivor who wrote this fascinating masterpiece, which has been described as an insightful exploration of the human will to find meaning in spite of the worst adversity. And likely his most famous quote, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. So it is in the noticing that we discover that something must be felt here, something must be acted upon here. Instead of blasting past the discomfort and hiding from it, we sit in it. Cherish the resistance that is required in our obstacles and challenges. Perhaps only for a moment, a more mindful moment here, though. This acceptance allows us to find and embrace the emotions, understand and look for meaning in these emotions through our unbridled curiosity that will lead to more deliberate responses, that will create the connection to others in order for us to take these lessons with us down a clearer path on our journey for a more meaningful life through a more mindful approach to life. And that journey starts right here, right now. Thank you all for listening. Please rate this episode. Please share this episode. I would be so grateful for you to do that. Thank you very much, and we'll see you soon, right here, right now. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time, right here, right now.